Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever. It's me again, Aziz, and yeah, today we're gonna be talking about some other topic, and in fact, it's my one of my most favorite topics. It's called vocabulary, and I know it can be hated by many people, by many language learners, because it really sucks. Yeah, you have a bunch of words that you have no idea about, and you have to sit down for another good hour and try to memorize them all. I understand it, but in my case, I have always enjoyed like finding new words, and whenever I stumble upon new vocabulary, I tend to like take a screenshot and write them down. And whenever I take a screenshot as someone who is learning a foreign language and who respects himself, I of course tend to take a screenshot of it and just keep it in my gallery forever and never bothering to open it. Like, yeah, sometimes I do like a couple of times in a year. Whatever. You got me what I'm talking about. Just everyone does have that. So today I want to talk about that thing. So today I so many todays, right? And I came up with four tips. If it was like three, which I found to be super helpful if you want to learn words and want them to get stuck here in your brain cells forever. And yep. So let's get started. Mode. First mode. It's like first tip, right? It's gonna be I name it it's sequence mode. What I mean by that, let's say you have written down 10 new words that you have to learn. And what most people tend to do is to learn them straight, like from 1 to 10, one by one. Yeah, that's how most people tend to do it. That's how I used to learn words. And to be honest, it didn't quite work for me back then. What I came up with is like a bit different way. Let's just say the word to impeach. Yeah, it's like you have 10 words to learn, and your first word is like to impeach. Second one is gonna be like embezzlement. And first word, second word, you're learning them, right? Impeach, embezzlement, and now when you're learning them, you don't jump to the third word. What you have to do instead is to go back to the first word. That's called like sequence mode. What I mean is like to impeach, embezzlement, now it's like third word. Let's say disaffection. And now instead of jumping to the fourth word, what you do, you go back yet again. It's like to impeach, embezzlement, disaffection. Now you repeated them all three, right? And now you can jump to the fourth word, let's say like lavish. And now, yet again, you just go back, not jumping to the fifth one yet. So like to impeach, embezzlement, what was it? Like disaffection, lavish, and now to the fifth word. You got the idea, right? And trust me, if you learn that way, it's just going to really help you. And why do you think it helps so much? Because, you know, whenever you have this much of a constant repetition of the words, it's like it's going to strengthen your memory. It's going to be really hard for you to forget those words. By the end of the 10th word, you would have already memorized the initial like few words. They would have already been stored in your long-term memory. Just trust me. That's like the tip I came up with back in when I was studying in elementary group when we were given what was it like irregular verbs. Yeah, everyone loves irregular verbs, right? Because it's just you're given like bunch of words and you're told like just you have to memorize all these 40, and they have on top of those 40 words like three yes as two of words. It's like have, had, and all of them a new vocabulary for you, but teachers don't really care and just memorize it. At least that's what we were told. And I'm like, okay, 40 of them, and I'm looking at those. I have written them down on my vocabulary, and I'm reading, doing everything, but it's not working. That's the time when just decided to learn that way. It's like have had, do the done, and I go back, have had, do the done, go went gone. And that's how I mastered all of those words. And to this day, I haven't opened it even, like, but I still have them here. It really works. Just, I bet you try that. Okay, that's my first tip. Second one is going to be
what it was called.
use it or lose it. Right. What I mean is, whenever you learn a new vocabulary, don't just write them down and forget about it. Just you're done, you learned, and when you were asked to tell the word, you've done it completely. Like, well, damn. No, just don't do that. If you're, for example, learning specific vocabulary words, let's say you learned the words about like sleep. It's like the word insomnia, maybe I don't know, nightmare. Those are the vocabularies that you have learned today. And what I want you to do is to use those words like immediately. Try your very best. I don't know. I bet you all have friends who are attending the same groups, or maybe you have your group chats. Just find those guys and text them about those topics. For example, talk to him about the sleep and gives, I don't know, some statistics that you randomly came up with. I don't know. You can Google it, or you can just think of yourself one. Like, why not? Like 30% of people of this kind have this kind of problems. That's why they suffer from insomnia. And text it to your friend like you're some kind of genius sitting there, and he's gonna be like, what? It's like you're like, okay, yeah. That's just, yeah, use it like that. And whenever you learn some kind of vocabulary, find someone, just text them. Or if you don't have anyone to text, I would recommend doing journaling. You can journal about things that you have done today, and you can write down some specific stuff about that too, or find out about it on the internet about sleep, some facts, and write them down and use those vocabularies that you have learned. And that's my number two tip. That's really helps me. I still use that. And yep, that's pretty much. So that's my number two tip. Yep. So next one. That's my favorite one too. I call it like emotional hooks. What I mean is make it personal, you know? Don't just learn the words like a robot or something. You're not AI or whatever. And if you learn that way, you're not going to just remember them for a long time anyways. And you know that when whatever you have emotion to, it's just it's really hard to forget if you're attached to something, and try to get attached to the words. For example, let's say the word awkward. Don't just learn it from vocabulary like awkward, uncomfortable. No, don't do that. What I encourage you to do instead is to think of a time when you really felt awkward, when you felt uncomfortable. Try to come up with some kind of emotional or real life situation it should be. It can be even joy. I don't know how can you feel joy from being awkward. I don't know. Let's say, for example, the word awkward. Yes, if you were to give example, I remember the time when I was waving at my friend, like just goodbye. He looked at me and he didn't even wave me back. That was awkward. Now you see, you have like some kind of attachment to the word. You have like emotion to that word. Just you felt really embarrassed. It's like awkward, really depressing stuff. That's the kind of things that you have to come up with always when you learn the word. Just, I don't know, try to get emotionally attached to each word. And that's why I always encourage you to not only like write down the definitions of the words, just write down the definition, right? And the translation as well. And you can even write down the example from the sample book you were given. But after that, it's a must have to write down your own personal experience example. I don't know, make up one. Just sit there. I don't, if it takes you 2 hours to write down that example, just sit there for 2 hours. That's how you're going to learn it. I don't know. That's how I always been Like I always try my very best to write down the vocabulary and the examples. I try to come up even like the most simple ones. It's like it can be subject, verb, adjectives. That's it. Like adjective. Oh my god, compliment, compliment, whatever. You got what I'm talking about. So that's my number three advice. And yeah, I guess those are the most important ones. And I can give you a bonus tip and write down. Right now, you can just pick five random words that you have learned today, new words, and try to use one of those three tips, or you can use all three of them at the same time. And you can share in the comments or whatever you can write down. And I will try to help you too if you have some other questions. And that's it. Yeah, thank you.